Minutes. So, this session being a 45-minute session will be extended as a result. So,
Thank you, Arjun. Good morning, everybody. It's funny, isn't it, how technologically advanced we may be. Mr. Murphy still has his ways. My name is Naraini. I represent Cognizant Technologies, and Samir there is my super boss. So when he called me at 6 p.m. last evening and said I have to do this, I didn't have a choice. So here I am in front of you. Before I start, I would just like to understand a bit of the folks over here. We have got about 50 odd people. What kind of industries do you belong to? What domains do you belong to? Anybody? Yep. Financial services marketing, very well. Any other domains? Sorry? Super, yeah. Okay, these are the domains, the technologies. All right. So what does analytics mean to all of us today? I mean, I think that's one word. Personally, I feel it's like there on everybody's lips, but then what it means to people can differ. So probably, ma'am, what does it mean to you?
Means a lot of data and working on the data, finding patterns in the data and trying to make some sense out of it, apply to business and solve business problems,
And by solving business problems, what you will ultimately do is?
bring profitability.
Absolutely. So today, I think for me, for all of us today, analytics means some kind of value add to the top line or to the bottom line. Yeah. And we all pay money, we pay a lot of money, we have a lot of nice technologies, but why? Because we want to understand data. And why is it so important today? Earlier we had limited set of data. We used to work on say 60,000 row of Excel, but that's all passé. That's the past. Today, with information coming out, stemming out from every activity that we are doing, there is so much of information that I think we sometimes get buried under it. And analytics will help negotiate those little threads that are relevant to that particular business problem and move on and make money out of it. While I was speaking with you in the last 60 seconds, so much of information has gone around the world. So much of information has been collected. But does all this information get used? Maybe, or maybe not. But what the crux here is today, you and I are consumers. We are consumers of products, we are consumers of services. And for each of these products and services, there is some marketing activity taking place so that we become consumers. So today I'm going to try and spin a story about some chief marketing officer and how he could make use of this proliferation of data to his advantage. Any questions, any thoughts at this time? Okay. Traditionally, what kind of information did we have? We probably had loyalty cards, we probably had addresses, we probably had newspaper advertisements going out, some brochures going out. But today, I think personalization is the key. I can get an ad specifically made for me on my smartphone. Now, how is this possible? This is possible because I am generating that kind of a data with so many touch points across all the value chain in probably say a retail scenario. So when I'm looking online for a pair of shoes, immediately when I open my Facebook page, I get about 20 ads on my right side talking to me about my shoes. I mean, it's really spooky at times, but scary. But I think today there is this really artificial intelligence that is pulling out these intricate behavioral patterns and making sure that they are not losing on any opportunity that they have to sell. Yeah. Probably there is a flip side to it. I might just shut down some of my activity and move on, but then it kind of helps me because consumer still remains to be the king. Be it traditional marketing or be it digital marketing, we are still the king here and we still yield the power to make or break a brand. Couple of, is it like visible? No? Maybe you can come up front. I can't do anything much about it. But yeah, what this slide typically is talking to me is about the ad spend has not gone down. It is only increased. The number of people that are looking at different channels. The omni-channel buying has increased. Customer touch points have increased. There are people who look into stores, look out for offers, and then go online and buy them. So there are various ways and means by which people have started shopping, and there is a lot of inputs here for the chief marketing officer to make use of and move from, say, a segmented targeting to a personalized targeting. Segmented targeting was in the news about a few years ago when they said, let me block customers based on their behavioral patterns, based on demographics, based on purchasing behavior, and other things. But today that is really not relevant. It's me. It's the personalized person that they need to target and challenge. Customer is the king. Consumer holds the key to control. Digital is not going to go out of our lives. How much of detoxification we would like to do, how much of getting out of social media we like to do, it is never ever going to leave us. And I think that's a fact that we all should live with and try and make the best use of it. How much does a marketing officer want to make use of this is completely in his hands. And I think today it is imperative that we use all kind of devices to ensure we reach our targeted consumers. And then with the kind of, how do I say this, very, very fickle-minded people. I'm very fickle-minded. If I don't like a brand or a service, if someone doesn't take my call properly, I will move on to the next brand. And retaining a customer, which will come in the next slide, is less expensive than acquiring a new one. I mean, gone are the days when, my dad used to say, come, let's go to Bata to buy shoes. Bata meant shoes. Today, I have about 20 odd stores in a 500 meter radius. So there is so much of information, there is so much of choice available that if I'm going to focus all my time on trying to acquire new customers, I'll probably end up losing some of my loyal ones. So there is a balance that the marketing officer has to play today, trying to see which is easier, which is less expensive. Do I retain people with better offers, with offers that they'll really take up? Or rather than go behind new customers who have a varied choice and can pick and choose. So a couple of these programs that continue being the key today are your customer loyalty program. I used to work for Tesco, and the club card that Tesco introduced many, many years ago is one of the highest ranking and the highest standing loyalty activities that Tesco has ever done in the UK, and they have a large customer base only because of the kind of offers and the other other things that you get along with the customer card. So in spite of Tesco having been in the news for wrong reasons today, there is still a certain segment of people who go continuously to Tesco because of the offers they get and the kind of loyalty that they have, the kind of relationship that they have with the company. So the marketing wing of Tesco has really done some tremendous job in trying to keep good PR based on this information. So there has been, targeted marketing trying to reduce the bad vibes that they have in the market. And I think today everybody is now going for co-branded cards, going for loyalty cards, because that's the easiest way to collect data, to compile data, and then to start marketing. So I'm going to take a pause here. So I've listed some real questions and real answers. I would like to understand from you, in terms of analytics and marketing, what are those questions that typically will come to your mind that you're looking for answers for?
A marketer, like, suppose if I'm a marketer and if I intend to do certain marketing activities for my product or my solution, maybe suppose if I'm a retail customer and I want to market my products, solutions, whatever. So the first question as a service provider comes to me that if I want to serve that marketer, what type of sources, I should incorporate, which I would be doing analytics on, after certain operations. So that's the one question which I want to ask you.
Sources, you mean the sources of data?
Yeah, I mean from the sources for a marketer. I mean, what type of data storage a marketer would be dealing with. Suppose CRM is one source for me, okay? Or marketing automation softwares like HubSpot, Acton, these are second source. So I'm talking about those sources from a service point of view, solution point of view. And second question would be that, if I again see the pain points of a marketer, let's say for a particular, attribution, for example, Okay, so how and we can define certain KPIs, keeping that pain area or pain point in view? What is the approach for that?
Okay, I'll answer your second question first. Typically, when I look at KPIs and my measurement factors, I would only look at there are two kinds. One is your tactical everyday KPIs, and one are your strategic KPIs. The tactical KPIs typically would depend on your day-to-day operations and how you are trying to reach your targets basis that. And then you have the strategic KPIs, which actually align with the company's vision and mission and probably add to the top and the bottom line. So these KPIs are usually the strategic ones are made combined with the financial team, the marketing team, the sales team, the operations team, because ultimately all of them have to look at a joint business proposal before they reach those KPIs. You spoke about CRM. So, those were the days when IT used to come and say that, we've decided to go ahead with this CRM system or this ERP tool because it's cheaper, it gives us da-da-da-da-da, and then these are the 10 reports you're going to get out of this. And business, most often than not, did not have a stand in saying, no, I don't want this, I want XYZ reports. Today, we're seeing a change in that. Business is actually dictating terms to the IT saying, listen, this information is what I need. I don't know if your current system provides it, but I need a system that provides me these information because I can take decisions based on those. So that is one change that we are seeing. The second change I'm seeing is someone was here from retail supply chain. Yeah. So what we are saying is that the decisions that you all take in your supply chain part of the business affects the store, affects the replenishment in the store, which ultimately affects the marketing, because marketing would have said that I'm having X% off on a particular product. Someone comes in, the product is not there. There is a backlash, which ultimately will affect you because you've made some forecasting based on some patterns. Today, what we are seeing is that there needs to be a seamless view across the entire value chain, be it be supply chain, be it be store operations, be it be back end, anything. So again, your KPIs on the strategic levels has to be linked across. Your tactical KPIs could be what is my efficiency, what is what is the return that I'm getting on a particular budget. So you have to define KPIs based on these two things. Coming to your first question of what kind of sources can I look at, the choice is there for you. Today, big data, unstructured, structured data, in-house data, outside of the company data, everything is made available to you. What you need to realize is that out of this data, what is it that you need to pick, massage, put it into your data warehousing and get relevant output out of that. Now, this could be an iterative process because there is so much of information and it really becomes difficult for us to take what we really think is relevant, and we might probably not be right in the first two instances, but I think over a period of time, you'll probably understand which are those Twitter accounts that you would like to follow, which are relevant to your brand, which are those typical, big data information that someone else is doing. Now, for example, I've been working with a shipping company. For them, weather data was important earlier, but they had no, how do I put this? They really did not have a lot of inputs on the weather data. But today, they subscribe to weather channels. They have their own forecasting for weather tools so that they're able to look at their shipping routes and make sure that there is no adverse weather affecting those routes. So we are moving towards a stage where we can get access to the kind of data we want depending on how the data affects our business. So the sources are there for you. You'll probably use data scientists to understand the impact of each of these sources on your end result and pick up variables accordingly. Yeah. Anybody else? Any question?
What are the means today to actually track information flow or handover across these touch points? The example that you yourself gave in the beginning of the conversation, like there is one consumer who checks out an offer in a store and then goes on and does an online purchase, right? So there's lots of information handover. So how do we cater to that in the current era of distinct information coming from different sources? That's one part, and the other part is you were talking about
asking me two questions at a time.
the other part was you were talking about CRM, right? So in this age of differential information that we get, are there any new metrics that are coming out for customer acquisition and retention tracking?
To answer your second question, customer acquisition and retention actually will all relate down to the kind of profitability that you're getting out of a particular customer. We're talking about customer lifetime value. I'll be touching upon that in a couple of slides. So what happens at every stage a customer journey, there is a particular set of metrics I look to see what kind of value is he bringing me and how much of an effort should I put in continuing with that customer to see what value I'll get at the end of it. So it's like a trade-off between how much is this customer spending today, what's his propensity to spend at a later stage, so that then I can target my marketing activities accordingly.
Right, but ROI has always been a tough problem to crack, right? Because you wouldn't be able to associate the ROI with any or the converted purchase to any of the metrics that you are bringing in through the analytics, right?
Yeah.
So that's one hard question to solve. So are there any new trends that are evolving today, addition to CLTV, the customer lifetime value, to sort of like have a very approximate CLTV at least?
Okay, so this is fine. This kind of will answer your question. So, see, it's a matter of trying to understand those various touch points which have become important to you. And see, ROI, I cannot say ROI on a digital platform. I cannot say ROI on a newspaper. But when I look at a campaign, I can run different campaigns, and basis that I can get my ROI, right? So I can cut it down to as much as a granular level as possible to get an ROI. But I might not be able to say that what's your ROI to a particular company or what's my ROI. So that again is a black box, because we are all human beings, we are all thinking. So I cannot put a value to that thought that I might have at that point in time when I'm going to be picking up a product or a service. So that still is an evolving stage. I'm not sure we have a secret sauce to kind of try and get an answer to it. But what we are trying to do is the other inputs that add to it, we are trying to get a better handle on those, which will in turn give us a number here. But again, getting a specific ROI on a particular customer is difficult, but I can look at the ROI I generate out of my marketing activities for that customer. I can look at the kind of stores that I have for that customer. So I can get ROI from those regions, trying to see if the customer's value has increased over a period of time. So I can see a relationship, but I may not be able to give you a number in terms of the increase in ROI. Yeah. So I did, sorry, you asked me another question about the touch points and how we can thread through this. So today what we've done is, I mean, it's difficult for me to touch the legacy systems, right? I mean, nobody would want, and also nobody will want to spend so huge on IT and getting a system that is seamless across all these areas. So we've got tools, we've got, in-house tools that we sit across this and pulls data, relevant data from these sources, and then gives a seamless view. This is what typically your analytics tools do, right? I mean, if there is a part of supply chain that the store is interested in and vice versa, I have a tool that will pull this information, put it together in a way that both these parties are happy, and then get it out. So there cannot be one complete view across the horizon, but there could be a view for a particular set of activities, probably starting from your transportation to your warehouse to the store. There could be a seamless view on a particular set of activities, which is what we are trying to solve depending on the priority of the business. So excuse me.
Would you like to take one more question?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Referring to one of the previous slides, you had mentioned that marketing spend is going to increase. But in the age of digital, I was under the impression that the spend is going to decrease because you can reach more people with less cost. So could you elaborate on that?
So while it's more people, it's one person at a time. Right? I mean, again, more people doesn't really mean that all of them are going to be buying what you're selling to them at the same time. All of them may not be looking at the advertisements in the same way that the other is looking at. So again, it comes down to personalization. And then there is ads. I mean, ads don't come cheap, right? On every platform that I look at ads. So while it is more people, you don't want to lose yourself in those more people, because like you, there are 10 more people competing for mind space. So you got to do that bit of extra to get those guys on board. So hence that little extra will always cost, and digital is not cheap. Because today if I'm spammed, I can shut you out. So that is a risk you cannot afford to take. Yeah.
Thank you.
So can someone tell me today, I mean, what a typical new consumer, what are the various touch points he's going to have in his business? Here, you're from the financial services, right? So I've just got a card onboarding experience today. So if somebody has to be given a new credit card, what are the various touch points that will that customer have?
You have various reps talking to the customer, so that is one touch point.
Customer service, like your call centers.
Yeah, your call centers. You have various ways you do cross selling. So when the person is calling to the customer center, you have other touch points where you transfer the call to other departments. Those two is what I can think of right now. Then you have all the digital data that you capture as soon as I walk into your store, where I'm moving, what I'm touching, how much I buy, basically trying to understand the basket.
Yeah, direct mails and all that is also part of it. Like
So
in
what I
US.
have on the left here is, the various sources that can help get you a customer for a card. It could be a retail branch, it could be the field, it could be on the web when I'm opening a website, can say, hey, you've selected for a new card, or it could be a call center. Now, if I were to look at the touch points across this, there is voice-based service, there are people here, there is technology. And at every point, the consumer is getting a very different experience. Now, with a voice-based service, he's getting an automated voice response that's